Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you my WWE Survivor Series preview and predictions for 2016. Survivor Series is live on pay-per-view / the WWE Network, or you can stream it for free on an illegal website. Sunday nights, Sunday, at a special time at 7 Eastern. 7 p.m. Eastern, I should say. Now, the pre-show, obviously, is a couple hours beforehand. I don't know if it's going to be at 5 or it's going to be at 6. I haven't heard anything about that, so I'll let you know once I know. And I'm actually really looking forward to Survivor Series this year, which hasn't happened in quite a while. Normally, WWE, the Survivor Series is one of the big four, with WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and obviously Survivor Series. But Survivor Series, it doesn't feel like they treat as much like the Big Four. Every year Survivor Series is kind of like that show that gets pushed to the wayside. With all due credit, though, the one thing that Survivor Series doesn't have that, the one thing that hurts Survivor Series that Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam don't have to deal with is football season. Football season's usually on at Survivor Series. So, that's kind of a thing that hurts the WWE and hurts Survivor Series, so that's probably what happens. But it's Survivor Series. It's the Big Four pay-per-views. I had actually read online that a few years ago they were planning on getting rid of it, which is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that they would get rid of one of the Big Four pay-per-views. A pay-per-view that's really helped them along the way, A lot of great moments have happened at Survivor Series. You obviously have the Montreal Screwjob. You have, Sting's debut. You have Undertaker's debut. You have The Rock's debut. It's where The Rock has won his first WWF/WWE World Championship. It's, where Shawn Michaels, it was the first Elimination Chamber match was on this show. It was where Shawn Michaels had finally prevailed, had returned from injury and won the World Heavyweight Championship on this show. Just a lot of memorable moments at Survivor Series. You had that. It was created by the feud with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. It had that WCW Alliance angle blow off here, even though it was terrible. But still. It had the Undertaker versus Vince McMahon match in the Buried Alive match on this show. It had John Cena's start to the push to superstardom. It had Scott Steiner, whose WWE return. A lot of great moments have happened. The Shield's debut is actually the most recent example. Well, Sting's is too, but the Shield debuted on this show, so a lot of great moments have happened at Survivor Series, and the fact that they don't treat this like as big of a deal as it should be is kind of upsetting to me. But Sunday's Survivor Series, and the thing that I'm really looking forward to is because now that SmackDown and Raw, the reason why it's being treated like a bigger show is because SmackDown and Raw now are split. So now SmackDown and Raw do their own separate pay-per-views. And the only time that SmackDown and Raw have pay-per-views together is the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam. So, now that they have, and this is the first Survivor Series post-WWE draft. This is the first Survivor Series, and they're making it feel like a big deal because we're going to have people on the show, and they're marking this as fantasy warfare because there's matches that you're going to have on the show that you wouldn't get on normal on WWE pay-per-views for Raw or SmackDown. It's just how it is, and it's going to be really interesting because you have Raw. Every match is a Raw versus SmackDown match. They're having Raw versus SmackDown in like a brand fantasy and a brand supremacy type of thing, where they want to see which brand is better. Is it Raw or is it SmackDown? And you have every match except for one match where a guy from Raw is taking on a guy from SmackDown. And I'm totally all down for that. I kind of am all in favor for that, to have a guy from Raw versus a guy from SmackDown. And it really is a good way to build up to Survivor Series. As I'm looking at the code, you have 6 matches on this show, which I'm not going to really complain about because you have 3 traditional Survivor Series matches on the show that I expect to, go pretty long. So I'm not going to. I'm going into it with high expectations. You could have a lot of people show up at this show. You could have the Undertaker show up since he showed up at SmackDown. Now last night since it's 12:40 in the morning. You could have The Rock show up. You could have Triple H show up. Obviously, I don't think The Rock will probably show up. But Triple H is more likely. But you could have, you're going to have Goldberg on the show. You're going to have Brock Lesnar on this show. So it's going to be it's a pretty star-studded show, and you can have some possible debuts since it's since NXT TakeOver Toronto's the night before, you may be wrapping up some storylines for some people. Maybe Samoa Joe will come on this show. Maybe he will. Maybe he probably won't, but maybe Shinsuke Nakamura could debut on this show. Maybe Bobby Roode could debut on this show. You never know. Maybe Austin Aries could debut on this show. You never know who could show up at Survivor Series. No one ever expected, even though it was leaked, but when Sting had debuted, nobody had expected it. When The Shield had debuted the way they did, nobody expected it. So, expect the unexpected sometimes when it comes to Survivor Series. So, let me kind of go through the card. Like I said, I don't mind the fact that there's 6 matches on this show, just because the 3 traditional Survivor Series matches I expect to be pretty long. Now, I do kind of want to mention that they say a lot that we're going to get matches that we normally wouldn't see. We're going to have a guy from Raw versus a guy from SmackDown. People are going to be facing each other that we've never seen. Now, you got to remember, it's still not that long ago after the WWE draft. It still kind of isn't. It's still pretty fresh. I think there's a lot of these matches that we've seen thousands of times still. We've seen them done to death, and we don't need to see them again. Some of those matches is how I feel. I'll do an example when I go through the matches. But let me kind of go through the card. I'll give my preview and predictions. So we have the first match that's announced on the show is the Intercontinental Championship match. SmackDown's the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, with his wife Louise ringside, versus Raw's Sami Zayn. Now, if Sami Zayn can pull out a victory, the Intercontinental Championship will be exclusive to Monday Night Raw. Now, a couple of things is originally this was supposed to be Dolph Ziggler in this match, but since Miz had won the Intercontinental Championship from Dolph Ziggler on SmackDown, on the 900th episode of SmackDown, the things changed. I talked about it in my SmackDown review on the What's Better Raw SmackDown series, which you can check out on this channel. I really wish that Miz wasn't the champion. It was Dolph Ziggler going into this show as the champion because they're making this fantasy warfare and they're making this like matches you normally wouldn't see. We've seen Sami Zayn wrestle The Miz before, but we have not seen Dolph Ziggler wrestle The Miz. And that match, I think, would have really stolen the show. And the fact that we're not getting that match is stupid. Now, as for the winner, I'm going to say that The Miz will retain the Intercontinental Championship. He just won it on SmackDown, and I don't think they're going to put the IC title on Raw. It really would be a cool moment if Sami Zayn did win because it is in his hometown, so I wouldn't be shocked if he won. But I actually see The Miz keeping his championship because then SmackDown cannot afford to lose the IC title. It just can't. If they lost their mid-card belt, then it would be stupid. So I see The Miz keeping the Intercontinental Championship. Then we have the next matchup. It's the Brian Kendrick. It's Raw's the Brian Kendrick defending the Cruiserweight Championship against SmackDown's Kalisto. And if Kalisto wins, the Cruiserweight division will transfer to SmackDown. So this is kind of like a big implications. Now this one's a little bit tougher to predict in a sense, just because you have that WWE show 205 that's coming on the network right after SmackDown. So it would be kind of like a way for SmackDown to cross promote that, where you have Kalisto as the cruiserweight champion. But then you also have the Brian Kendrick, who tried like hell to get this cruiserweight championship, and if he just lost it, it really wouldn't make any sense. But then again, you have, if the cruiserweight division, if that went to SmackDown, that would be huge for the cruiserweight division, because it's really just second fiddle on Raw. It's not being featured on Raw at all. But on SmackDown, I think that could be featured a hell of a lot better, because SmackDown, I'd say, is a lot focused on in-ring quality, and I think they kind of do a little bit more out there things than Raw kind of does. Like, it takes more chances. So I think SmackDown will put more emphasis on the cruiserweight division than Raw would. However, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the Brian Kendrick retains. I don't really see him losing the Cruiserweight Championship. It would be really cool if Kalisto did win. It makes sense if he won, but I'm going to say the Brian Kendrick is going to keep the Cruiserweight title and keep it on Raw. So then, these next few matches, you have the 3 traditional Survivor Series matches. This is Raw versus SmackDown Brand Supremacy. Now, what I will say with these matches is I kind of wish all these 3 matches aren't really, are just matches. I really wish that they would have had something on the line maybe with these matches. Like, people have said maybe like they can pick a guy to put on SmackDown, which I would be all in favor of. Or Raw, like pick a guy, like whatever team of that brand wins can pick someone to go to that brand. So if Raw won, for example, if Raw won, then Raw could pick someone. So from SmackDown to go to that brand. So I kind of wish that would be the case. And people had talked like that GMs wouldn't pick the guys that were the sole survivors that got the pin would pick pick. So I would kind of wish that was the direction they were going in, but they're not. But I would have preferred it to be that. But I still think these look like really awesome matches. So we have a 10-on-10 Survivor Series Tag Team Elimination match. It's Team Raw's best tag teams versus Team SmackDown's best tag teams. I'll go over who's in the match in a minute. Now I wonder if they're going to structure this like the old school Survivor Series tag matches, where like if a member of your team gets pinned, then you're out of the match. I don't know if they're going to structure it like that. They still haven't explained that, but it's definitely questioning. But the people that are going to be in this match is for Team Raw's tag teams. You have the captains, the New Day. It's either going to be Big E, Kofi Kingston, or Xavier Woods wrestling this match. I expect it to be maybe Big E and Kofi Kingston. I expect Xavier Woods to be ringside. The hell's calling me? I'm gonna have to pause this real quick. Well, no, I'm gonna have to get that later. All right, but anyhow, yeah. So, but yeah, you have Team Raw's The New Day, which I just said was in that tag team. Sheamus and Cesaro, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Enzo Amore and Big Cass, and the Shining Stars, Primo and Epico. Like I said, Raw didn't have a lot of choices in a sense because it was either them or the Golden Truth, and I guess they just went with them. But it's just, versus Team SmackDown tag teams, Beauty and the Man Beast, the captains Beauty and the Man Beast, which is the Heath Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, which is Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, American Alpha, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, and Breezango, which is Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Now for this match, I see Team SmackDown's tag teams winning. I think that's just I think Team SmackDown's tag teams have a better pair up, and I think they can actually work together to take out Team Raw. I think Team Raw has too much dissension in it. You have Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson who really don't want to be in this match. They would rather stab Enzo and Cass. You have and they don't like the New Day either. And you have Sheamus and Cesaro who really kind of don't like each other, but they also don't like the New Day. So I think Team SmackDown will be able to coexist and take out Team Raw. Yeah, that's just kind of what I see happen. Plus, there was a reason I'll give a reason for my next pick. So then we have the women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination tag team match, and we have Team Raw's Charlotte, who is the captain, Bailey, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks, with Dana Brooke, who is going to be like the alternative, they say, versus Team SmackDown's Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Naomi, with Natalya as the coach. Ugh, the fact that Natalya's not even on the fucking team is a fucking joke and a half. But I see, but for this team, they actually look about even. In a sense, I was thinking like Team Raw's team looks like shit because you got Nia Jax and Alicia, who's can't wrestle for shit, and Alicia Fox, who's hasn't been relevant since 2010. But you do have Charlotte, Bailey, and Sasha Banks on the same team, which is fucking badass. Then you have for SmackDown, you got Alexa Bliss, who is a good wrestler, Carmella, who isn't bad, Naomi, who's athletic, and Becky Lynch, who's a good wrestler. So Team SmackDown, you could say is better, but I think it's even because Charlotte, Bailey, and Sasha Banks on the same team. You just can't touch that shit. I want to touch that shit. I'd like to do a lot of kinds of things to that shit, but for this team, I see Team Raw's team winning, just because Charlotte has that undefeated streak where she hasn't lost a match on pay-per-view, and I don't see her losing this match here. Now, as for the Sole Survivors, I kind of want to talk about that. For Team Raw's, I want to say the Sole Survivors will be American Alpha, last eliminating the New Day. I think that would be awesome for American Alpha to get that spot. Because I don't see Slayer and Rhino being the Sole Survivors. I could see the Usos being the Sole Survivors, but I don't think that would get over. Hype Bros just kind of wouldn't really work. Breezango would be fucking weird. And for the Sole Survivors for this, I see Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Bailey all outlasting Team Raw. That would be just really awesome if they all could, and maybe it came down to them versus Becky Lynch. That'd be just awesome. And then for the 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination men's match, like the best male competitors, we have Team Raw's co-captains Jericho, which is Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, versus Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins versus Team SmackDown's Captain AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Shane McMahon, with James Ellsworth as the mascot. Fucking James Ellsworth, get the fuck off my television. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck do people see in this guy? But this match, looking forward to it. It's probably the match I'm looking forward to the most on the show. And I was originally saying that this team, the Raw's team, is better than SmackDown's. And maybe it is. But kind of looking at this match now on paper, I think they're both about the same now. Kind of looking at it on paper. You know, you have Kevin Owens, who's great. Chris Jericho, who's great. Braun Strowman, who's a great monster. Seth Rollins, who's great all around. You have Roman Reigns, who's good. Not great, but good. You have AJ Styles, who's awesome. Dean Ambrose, who can be good, but I'm not a huge fan of him, but he can be good. Bray Wyatt is a good wrestler. You know, he's a good character. You have Randy Orton, who's good star power, and Shane McMahon. It doesn't, the fact that Shane's on SmackDown team kind of ups it a little bit better. Now, as for who could win, now this is a tough one to predict because it depends on what they do. Because I really don't know which team would win. Because you have this whole thing where Shane's in the match, and you have the whole thing where with Team Raw. Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm going to say that it's going to come down to Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. This is why I usually put my phone on airplane mode for when people call me. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to Seth Rollins and AJ Styles, and Rollins is going to be throwing out all the stops to win, and then Triple H is going to come out. And Triple H is going to screw over Seth Rollins, and we'll finally find out that Stephanie McMahon will show her true colors and back up with Triple H. Now, it makes sense because Stephanie McMahon's the one that put him in this match, so maybe they're planning something, because I kind of want to see them start to build up Seth Rollins Triple H again, and I think this would be the perfect time to finally go in that direction. You need to kind of, you can't have Triple H just kind of randomly show up again. Like, I know you want, I think they should push it off to WrestleMania, which it looks like they're doing. They're doing a good job building that story, keeping it, fresh. But you need to have Triple H. If you can't have the rest of the year where they don't do anything with it. This is right here. Now you could do a bunch of things. You could have Triple H show up and cost Rollins the match, which would be awesome, and screw over Team Raw, and then you can do something with now. Seth Rollins, you don't even have to do it right away, Mania. You can have Seth Rollins want to get his hands on Triple H, but Triple H says he's too busy with other things right now. He's got better things to do to get in the ring and wrestle you. So then you can have Seth Rollins go after Chris Jericho, but then you can have Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon now be at odds. You can finally have them start to have crap with each other. And then eventually Mick Foley gets fired, Triple H is back on Raw and the authority of running Raw, and you can do a bunch of different shit. So I'm going to say that SmackDown's team will win with AJ Styles prevailing. Then we have the main event. Now, I personally don't know if this should main event the show. It's Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. I'll admit, I really did not want to see this match when it was announced. I still don't know if I do. Just because I'm a little bit more hyped about it now, but I don't know if it's gonna shit the bed yet or not. You still have, I've mentioned it before, you have Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, who selling is not their forte. They have very limited movesets. Brock Lesnar with the with German suplexes and F5, Goldberg with the jackhammer, spear. You have they can't really go long in matches, and it's also a lose-lose situation, because if Brock Lesnar wins, then what was the point of bringing Goldberg back? If Goldberg wins, it hurts the entire roster, because they've tried to take out Brock Lesnar and have failed and got destroyed. But if Goldberg, who hasn't wrestled a match in 12 years, is able to come in and just beat him right away. A guy that also went out and won in the real world just recently in the UFC. I know you could say he cheated with the steroids and stuff, but he still went out and won in the UFC. A guy that conquered the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania can't beat Goldberg, who hasn't wrestled a match in 12 years. What also does concern me is the fact that Goldberg hasn't wrestled a match in 12 years, because we don't know. He could have some wind rust. The fact that he kind of has been doing some stuff physically is probably helping him. So, and the crowd is, because it's in Toronto, Canada, and one of my friends pointed this out. This is since Goldberg and in Bret Hart's career, the crowd's not probably going to be behind Goldberg, which is not going to be good for Goldberg. And I don't know. I think it's kind of risky to put this match on, to have this match go on last, just because you could get a shitstorm. I don't think it's going to be as bad of a shitstorm, though, as WrestleMania 20. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think it's actually going to be a better, because they actually give a shit this time, so that's good. But this is still, you're really pushing it. But, you have their history, from WrestleMania 20, and this is also, I think, used to hype the video game, which I'm fine with. Lately the video games haven't been selling really well, and this is the perfect way to get it selling. This is possibly going to be Goldberg's last match, because he had mentioned that Brock Lesnar was last, so, But as for who should win, now, I want Brock. For the reasons I've stated for why Brock should win, because it'd make the roster look bad, it'd make Brock look bad, and when you think about Brock Lesnar, when Brock Lesnar loses, he should lose to someone that is going to benefit, someone that's going to be there all the time. It shouldn't be someone like Goldberg, who's a part-time wrestler It should be someone maybe like a Kevin Owens. It should be someone like a Samoa Joe. It should maybe even be a Braun Strowman. Somebody like that. I'm not saying about Braun Strowman should be Brock Lesnar, but you get what I'm getting at. Because it'd be like a full-time guy that it's actually going to benefit and really... It should be like a huge launching point for that guy. So, I'm going to say Brock Lesnar is going to go over. Now, I don't know how the match is going to go, but we're going to have to wait and see. But that's my Survivor Series predictions. I hoping this show delivers. I expect it to. And I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what they do. So I'm going to go over my predictions again. Just so that way everyone can kind of... Just because I usually ramble and talk during them. So I'm going to go over them again. I predict that Miz is going to retain the Intercontinental Championship against Sami Zayn. The Brian Kendrick's going to retain the Brian Kendrick's going to... Let me go over it again. So I predict that Miz is going to retain the IC title over Sami Zayn. The Brian Kendrick's going to retain the Cruiserweight title over Kalisto. Team Raw's tag teams is going to be Team SmackDown's tag teams. No, actually, that's Ron. Let me say this again. So I predict that The Miz is going to retain his Intercontinental Championship against Sami Zayn. I predict that the Brian Kendrick is going to retain the Cruiserweight Championship over Kalisto. I predict that Team SmackDown's tag teams is going to beat Team Raw's tag teams. That Team Raw's woman's going to beat Team SmackDown's woman. And Team SmackDown's men's going to beat Team Raw's men. And that Brock Lesnar is going to beat Goldberg. So those are my predictions for Survivor Series. I will say them one final time since I botched it so many times. I predict that The Miz is going to retain his IC title over Sami Zayn. The Brian Kendrick is going to retain his Cruiserweight title over Kalisto. Team SmackDown's tag teams are going to beat Team Raw's tag teams. Team Raw's woman's going to beat Team SmackDown's woman. And Team SmackDown's men's going to beat Team Raw's men. And that Brock Lesnar is going to defeat Goldberg in the, hopefully not the main event. And that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and subscribe to all of my other channels that are down in the description box. And I will talk to you guys later.